Chris, thank you for joining me on this Banter with Billy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is gonna be a fun conversation. Looking forward to
Oh,
it.
God, yes, it is. Yes, it is. For those of you who don't know Kris Rudeegraap, he's the CEO of Sendoso. And today we're actually going to kick the shit out of AI in marketing because so much is spoken about AI in marketing, as in, why are there still marketers? Surely AI has replaced us all. And here I am. I'm
Yep.
still here. Chris, do you still have marketers on your team?
Oh yeah, and we're hiring more.
You are? Didn't you read the memo? Didn't you get it? Didn't you hear about this amazing thing called AI? Why are you hiring marketers? Shame on you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an exciting time both from the AI front, but there's still a big need for human marketers, not just AI agent marketers out there. So excited to go deeper on my thoughts on all those things.
Oh, yes. So tell me. So you've experimented a lot. First of all, you know what? Let's take a step back. Tell us what it is that your company does, because I know for one of a couple of companies that could do with your services. So tell us a little bit about what Sendoso does.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. So I started Sendoso about 10 years ago. Prior to that, spent a couple decades in software sales. And during that time, I said, hey, what else could I do to capture the attention of prospects, to build rapport, to help close deals faster? And so I started sending out gifts. I was packing boxes, mailing out handwritten notes, sending out gift cards, sending out personalized, swag. It all worked really well. It was just manual and a nightmare to pack boxes at the office till like 10 p.m. at night. So I dreamed of a solution to solve that, and that's where Sendoso comes in, which is a global AI gifting and direct mail platform.
Nice. Now, Chris, it's just you and me here.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of examples of the craziest stuff that you've actually had to gift to others. Legal
Yeah.
stuff, please. Keep it legal, keep it clean.
Well, I'll give you a couple stories. So one is we sent out Traeger barbecues, which was a huge campaign that one of our kind of cybersecurity companies did as it relates to wanting to send out these like $1,000 smokers. That was really a fun.
Smokers?
Now, on the opposite side of that, this was a personal story, but I met a kind of a VP at a conference. He was on crutches. He said he broke his ribs in a skiing accident. And so I followed up with some Kansas City baby back ribs mailed to his office.
Nice.
And so that was kind of a fun play on words, and they were some tasty ribs, he said. Another idea that we sent out recently for a payments processing company was a build your own Lego kit where you could build a little terminal. And it was a fun little custom project that we built out.
Nothing that you can't deliver.
Nothing we can't deliver legally that we can do globally. And it really creates almost a platform of creativity for the marketer, because no longer does the marketer have to come up with the operational effort behind the scenes of like, where am I going to source that? How am I going to kit it? Where am I going to track it?
Amazing. Love it. So, Chris, what kind of experiments have you run with AI?
Yes. So I'll give a couple. I'll also preface that our outbound SDR org lives in marketing, as I think it should. So that was a very early experiment where we were able to bring in Clay and really automate a lot of our SDR team. We actually reduced the size of that team, repurposed some of those folks, but was able to cut that team down and continue to see really amazing outputs by way of bringing in AI that is going to do the data research, the email prep, the data syncing, even some of the replying of emails. And that's done all through AI. So that's probably the biggest win to date.
Is that one something that you did as a custom build, or did you buy something that was sort of like off the shelf?
We bought Clay off the shelf, but then Clay, you need to then custom build out these different tables and plays and automation. So there was a bit of effort there. We also bought a tool called Piper. We used to have a handful of inbound SDRs that managed all of our web chat. Now 100% of that is done through AI and an agent called Piper X. So that was another big win. I think writing content a couple years ago in AI was a shit show and very obvious. Now that's gotten so much better. A couple years ago, creating images for ads in AI was really terrible. I still remember like the sixth finger, and it was just like so terrible generating images in AI a couple years ago. Now it's gotten so good. So we're rethinking how do we think about our paid media strategy with AI? How do we think about our content strategy with AI? One area of AI that we're brainstorming more on right now actively is field marketing, which hasn't had a lot of AI AIification. I don't know what word that is. I think I just made that up. But we're building out a field marketing agent that reports into our human field marketers that does some of the hard work of when they want to throw an event. Previously, we'd have to go and kind of blast a larger database of people, not knowing perfectly their up-to-date locations, and so now this agent goes and finds their updated location and tries to be more specific on these field marketing event invites and conference invites.
That makes sense. So I think that, yeah, from what we're seeing as well, the companies that are making the best use out of AI are definitely doing it on the content, but also the video stuff that's coming out nowadays.
Yeah, it's so good now.
It's like you honestly can't tell the difference anymore who's paid money for a studio versus who's just sort of using AI.
Yeah, totally.
And in itself, I mean, like you still need to know what you're doing on that front.
Exactly. And I think for a lot of our marketing team too, AI has just become a co-pilot. For example, for product marketing, product launches can have, a skill in Claude that helps write the product release notes. Even competitive battle cards can be more templatized and more of that data can be synthesized through AI. And then what could have taken, hours or weeks can now take minutes. And so I think product marketers are seeing some superpowers now connecting their workflows through Claude.
Yeah, totally. And also, I think on the SDR front, yes, you're right. There's a lot of work, going on with with AI SDRs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge field. And what we have recently developed that our clients are loving is basically the LinkedIn and HubSpot AI agent that basically makes an SDR's life so much easier. Wow. Because up until now, you can reach out on HubSpot, you can reach out on LinkedIn, and they're supposed to sync, but don't really.
Yep.
There's a complete sync between them. But what I'm not finding, let's put it this way. 2 years ago, everybody started downsizing their marketing teams. About a year ago, I predicted that December 2025 is when businesses would start reinvesting and rehiring their marketing. And lo and behold, it's not because I'm some kind of fortune teller. It's really happening. And why? Because they realize that AI really can't replace the hard work of the strategy and the management of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of a marketing budget. There is still not one tool that can replace a strategist who knows what they're doing and how you're going to go to market or how you should go to market compared to your competitors. And even if they do, there is not one tool or even 10 tools that can tell you, okay, this is how you should be rolling out. It just doesn't exist. Yeah. If you know of these tools, please tell me, because we could save a lot of time and money, because that's what we're seeing that is really missing on the market.
I 100% agree. And I think that if anything, we're hiring more marketers and we're making our marketers even more effective too with AI. So they can do more stuff that would have taken longer to execute on, and we're just compressing some timelines. And so that's been a really fun thing to see across the board, is new marketers coming on and being effective immediately and executing on projects faster than ever. Sometimes I think about Claude or ChatGPT is almost being like a therapist that's just like you're talking to them and you're getting ideas, and then that's just like a brainstorm sesh.
And just like a therapist, they always say, well, that's a really good idea.
Exactly.
Really well. You look at that perspective and I'm like, I don't need somebody to just tell me how wonderful I am. Sometimes some contrast. So as a company CEO, was it a difficult move for you to start taking AI as sort of like your go-to, or to explore where AI can improve your systems? Or was it sort of like, obviously we've got to get out there? Or was it difficult to persuade your marketing team, hey, instead of it doing it this way, why don't you use AI or find an AI solution? Or did you find that everybody was on board? What was that like, the initial process?
Yeah, so because we market to marketers and we market to revenue leaders, we like to be on the forefront so that we can not only talk about what we're doing in conversations, but what we can also showcase. So a lot of times we like doing webinars or write about how we tested something or how we did something. So we were really early on with trying AI back when AI wasn't that great. Now we're kind of in the, how do we build AI agents and showcase that? How are we building and using Claude Code? And, I got off a brainstorm yesterday where we were talking about using Claude Code to build some, what's called like lead magnets on your website, these interactive elements to play around making our website more of like an app than just like static content. And so we're just going to really think about what's the future? How do you stay ahead of it? And what are some ways that we can kind of hack and test some of these AI tools so that we can learn and talk about it?
So where do you think we're going to be on the marketing with AI front in a couple of years' time? I mean, like, how far do you think we'll have evolved? I mean,
I
compared
do
to today?
think agents are going to enter the org chart this year. I think if I were to say like December 2026, we'll look back and we'll have AI colleagues that are helping. I think last year was a bit more of like the automation, the N8Ns for marketers, and that was the hot topic. This year, I think there'll be, digital colleagues that'll pop up. But I think that'll also need to see marketers change their skills around how do they manage these agents better? How are they thinking about running programs where there's, maybe an agent in a loop helping as part of that and really doubling down on that skill set. So I think there'll be some reskilling of
Yeah.
marketers. And I think there's going to be, more integrated marketing because it's easier to integrate your tools together with MCPs and building through APIs is easier. So I think the integrated experience will be better. But hopefully all that breaks down and gives marketers more time to be creative and think about the strategy. Because I do think marketer last year, the year before, was bogged down with bandwidth constraints and had to spend so much time blocking and tackling. And I'm hopeful the marketer of tomorrow will be able to have access to such a plethora of AI agents and tools where they can take a step back at times and think about the broader strategy, the channel mix, the creativity, which I think can be the differentiator for marketers in the future.
So I think that the marketers of the future are going to be only the creative people. I think what I always liked about marketing is the fact that it gets me to be 50% of the time creative and 50% deep in the data with my processes. How can I optimize this and how can I do it better? And, how can I achieve different results? And I really loved the convergence of those.
Yeah.
Can see how that personally suits me. When I was doing HubSpot implementations and operations work, I wanted to shoot myself because that was to me very dry, very boring, very monotonous, and too much on the in the pits as far as I'm concerned. And I think that marketers of today and onwards, they need to be relying far more on the creative side. And if they're not creative, then it's a field that I don't think that they'll be able to go into, because all of the bread and butter stuff of the repetitive, of the process, of the data, that's going to be done by machines. So it's just like somebody who is not, somebody who goes into being a graphic designer, architect, anything in the creative field, they obviously need to have an orientation towards that, right? And that's when they often struggle in the process side and then the admin side and stuff of it. The same thing's going to happen with marketing. Marketing is going to rely on being creative, and then they're going to rely on machines to do the rest.
Yeah. And I think on the machine side to doing the rest, I think marketers are going to definitely need to be open and continue to be relevant in terms of learning what's changing so fast. I think, for a while, the marketing playbook stayed relatively the same across a lot of the 2010s through, and even in the early 2000, like to 2000, maybe 23. But now like marketing is moving so fast where you almost need to like relearn some of the things that you can do and then unlearn some of the things that maybe you thought you should do a certain way that can be done a completely new way. So I think, the skills of marketers will evolve a bit.
They have to. Yeah. I think that the way that they teach marketing is going to evolve. And essentially, I think there will be fewer marketers because I think that the operational side will just be called something else. It's just going to be, and then you'll get sort of like marketers who are the strategists and creatives. Not that strategists and creatives are necessarily the same people either, but they're going to be sort of like of a different ilk than the people who are running the processes on a day-to-day basis, I believe.
I will say that I think marketers are primed to think about this kind of, especially on the demand gen side, where your mind is set to be thinking about how do we run these campaigns, these programs that are integrated and scaling across a wide range of segments and data and toolings. And I think that skill set is really a great skill set that can transform to other parts of the business. And I will say that, marketers might be the best new like AI agent builders or have the right mindset to think about how do I apply this to better customer expansion? How do I apply this to better, things in other parts of the business where that marketing mindset works? So there could be evolutions where, at least at Sendoso too, our growth marketer turned into our head of GTM engineering, which turned into kind of our head of like our center of excellence for AI. And I think that will be a really relevant world.
When I say the following to you, what does it make you feel? SaaS as we know it is dead.
I disagree with that. I think that some of the media and public markets in the US and abroad are getting hit with a lot of negative press that SaaS is overvalued at times, but companies still need software and tools to be effective. Now, maybe some of the pricing models are what's going to be affected. And maybe there's going to be more of a consumption than like a subscription type play. But software is going to be critical. I think it's just a hot topic, and it's easy to call something dead. It's easy to kind of create an enemy. And then once people say there's an enemy, everyone likes to jump in and attack that enemy. And then it becomes this like media craze. But I'm not in the camp that SaaS is totally dead. I do think that agents are going to be a thing, but I don't think they're going to kill SaaS. They're just going to need to use SaaS.
Yep. I think that the new normal will be that there is no new normal, that you can't rely on something that you did last month to actually work next month.
Yeah.
So we're constantly going to, it's even our toolkit is going to be constantly evolving. You know, I used to have a toolkit or a stack that would last me for a couple of years at least, and you'd have your bread and butter that you'd always have, and then you'd build on top of that. I think that's going to change all the time. We're always trying something new, whether we want to or not, because we see something bright and shiny. My business partner, Dan Kalmeli, said on LinkedIn the other day, it's like, when did we get so obsessed with mortality? You know, email is dead, ABM is dead, the SaaS is dead. It's like everything is dead or dying. Why can't you see that there's an evolution of things?
Exactly.
Nothing gets cut overnight. I want to say parting words about the marketers of tomorrow and AI. You know what? I have a 13-year-old daughter, and you'll be shocked to learn that she's on her phone a lot. And whilst on the one hand, I would like her to be on the phone less, when I see what she's doing, you know, the stuff that she's creating on Canva, the projects that she's doing, you know, for school through ChatGPT, the stuff that she has access to in, you know, through her phone is stuff that we only dreamed of when we were back at school. And when we talk every now and again about, you know, what it is that I do, what it is that she does, I try to explain to her where our worlds are, you know, coming together, like how I use Canva at work, how I use ChatGPT at work. And essentially, I think that for my daughter, it will be a lot easier to determine what she wants to do when she's older, first of all. And especially, it will be easier for her because I don't think she'll need to choose one profession. At 13, my day, you used to know which subjects that you wanted to continue with to high school that would then take you maybe onto college that would maybe later drive your career. That doesn't exist nowadays. And I think that technology is enabling that, and for people to have multiple careers and to change every 5 years.
I 100% agree. You know, my dad stayed at the same job for 30 years, and I think that's a relic of the past. I have a 2-year-old son, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see what he does in his world in, you know, 20 years when he's looking to move into a career. But I agree with you. I think the careers of yesterday don't have to define the careers of tomorrow. So you can become, you know, a content creator. You can become a thought leader. You can become a micro, you know, entrepreneur where you're creating a new startup idea from a pain pop problem that used to take millions of dollars and tons of engineers to build.
I find it amazing that this whole conversation has been about marketing in AI, yet your business is on delivering physical gifts.
Yes.
Physical gifts to your prospects. I think that's crazy. That's just amazing.
Now, I will say we do have a little AI layer sprinkled in for these gifts that help suggest the right gift to send, the right delivery. But it is quite a great timing to be in a business that is in the physical world, that's delivering boxes to people's desks and offices and front doors.
Totally. That's amazing. Chris, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on this banter. Love talking to you, and let's get out there and start sending or continue to send or send more physical gifts to our clients.
Thank you so much for having me on, Billy. Great time.
Thank you.